Kennen is a ranged mage who is usually played in the top or mid lane. For a long time he was an extremely popular pick in competitive play, mostly during the early stages of Season 2. He was a staple top laner for anyone playing it at a decent level. He's relatively easy to get the basics of, being a ranged champion in the top lane can be a great asset as well, not to mention his escape with Lightning Rush. One of the big things about playing Kennen is understanding how his passive works. Since it directly affects his other spells, it took me a bit to understand how this works on Kennen, and controlling the Mark of the Storm stacks really makes a difference between a good Kennen player and a bad Kennen player. All you really need to know is that his passive on his W, every 5 attacks he gains an auto attack that will apply a Mark of the Storm stack. On top of that, his Q, W and E all apply 1 stack. Of course his ultimate applies multiple stacks depending on the level, and the target Kennen is hitting can be stunned multiple times too. It's just diminishing returns will stop the target being stunned too long. Concerning his Q, it's pretty simple. If you have practice with Ezreal, you'll quickly feel right at home with this one. Kennen's W, like I said before, applies some extra magic damage and a Mark of the Storm on his auto attack every 5 hits. After hitting them with the Electrified Shuriken, you get a certain time window to explode the mark by activating W, or you can choose to do it as fast as you want and really get it to blow up quickly, or you can wait while if you're in a laning phase to keep the stacks on the enemy longer. His E is pretty simple, activate it and go really fast, and whoever you pass through gets damaged slightly with a stack added also. Now Kennen's ultimate is something you have to use correctly, on as many people as possible and at the right time. The storm that circles around him will hit people multiple times, and the amount of times it hits people increases with each rank in it. It's by far Kennen's most deadly tool and can be used in almost all scenarios. It does terrifying damage in the early laning phase 1v1, and not to mention its use in teamfights. For runes I use a fairly standard non-mana AP page. Magic Pen Reds, Armor Yellows, Magic Resist Blues and AP Quints. It's a nice well-rounded rune page which can be used in either top and mid. Masteries wise I just go 21, 9 and 0, focusing on the magic amplifying points and offense. I don't prioritise any spell vamp, XP gain or anything in the utility tree, as I feel the extra resists and HP help him more. Kennen is just one of those champions that you basically have to get flash on. Being able to flash ult into a team just generally being a fairly squishy champion kind of requires you to have flash. The only summoners as your second slot in my opinion would be either Ignite, Teleport and possibly Cleanse, since a lot of people like to exhaust Kennen as well. As with all champions who have large AoE ultimates, Zona is a must buy on Kennen. Generally you'll want to get it as your first or second item, big item. The main reason for that is that you're expected to go into the thick of the team to deal most of the damage with your ultimate. If you build tanky you won't have enough damage. If you build squishy you'll get killed instantly, but luckily Riot let the ultimates like Kennen and Morgana still work while Invincible and Zonas, so you might as well exploit that while you can. I think it's a stupid mechanic for this item, but yeah, there's no reason not to use it. For boots, most of the time you'll want to be getting Sorcerer Shoes, however Ninja Tabi and Mercury Treads don't go unheard of on Kennen, if you're playing against a tricky bruiser or a stun heavy mid laner. Abyssal Scepter used to be a great item on Kennen, but I probably would favour other items first now, after it's got nerfed. You can't make a Kennen guide and talk about items without mentioning Spell Vamp. I definitely would be against getting a Will of the Ancients unless you also have a Vlad on your team, or some other AP champion that really benefits from it. The price just got increased so much that it's not worth it. If you really feel you need some Spell Vamp, then I suggest you take the regular 1200 Spell Vamp item, and just leave it as that until later on. Late game items can be anything from Death Cap to Void Staff to Guardian Angel. In the early game with Kennen you mostly want to be trying to take advantage of your long range Q ability. It packs a decent punch and applies a Mark of the Storm. Kennen has a pretty good base AD level, so early game you'll most likely win auto attack trades. Not to mention you'll be running armor runes, which can give you a good advantage too. You really want to take advantage of Kennen's high burst when he hits 6. If you can out harass your enemy and push them back and hit 6 before they do, one well placed shuriken and a stun can set up the perfect opportunity for you to flash and ult in. Remembering to save your lightning rush at the right opportunity when getting ganked is vital too. Make sure you don't activate it and then get stunned for example, as it will still use all of the speed and you'll get nothing. Instead wait for the stun to wear off and then lightning rush away. As you might imagine, by now in teamfights, you'll want to be hitting as many people as possible with your ultimate and other AoE spells as much as possible. This is where your Zhonya's will become especially handy. Just E your way in, flash and ultimate and you'll be doing huge damage to their team. But be careful not to die though, and as soon as you're in a good position, hit that Zhonya's button and become invincible. It's also important to make sure you hit your Qs on Kennen after team fights sort of develop a little bit more, as that is where the majority of your damage will come from after your ultimate. Kennen is a great champion that can be great fun to play. If you haven't done so yet, I suggest trying him in mid, and then transitioning to top afterwards. Thanks for watching guys, and if you enjoyed this video don't forget to like, subscribe, check out my Facebook and follow me on Twitter.